What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So a couple of days ago, I posted a video. I was talking about AI, this AI model that we have for the House of Representatives. And basically what we're looking at, the 2026 midterms, how many seats can the Democrats gain or how many seats can the Republicans gain? And so I went ahead and I posted that video, but I knew that we had some important information coming the following day. So I told you guys, if there are some changes, I will let you know if it's anything significant. And we did see a change in inflation, so I'm going to add that into our formula. And believe it or not, it does increase the amount of seats that Democrats could gain in the midterm election. Now, understand this AI model, this formula that I'm using, this is an experiment. It's the first time I've done this. We are going to compare this to the current polling that's out. We're also going to compare it to some of the different prediction websites that are out there. So as we get closer to the election, it's going to be pretty interesting to see how AI compares to different pollsters as well as some of these different websites. And we'll have to see how this plays out. But I wanted to show you the revisions, and then I'm going to answer some questions because I posted a few videos and people are talking a lot about this whole AI model. And so I want to answer some of those questions that you might have. And I also want to let you know that I've done some other models too, because people always ask me in the comments, they say, why don't you do one for the Senate? Or why don't you do one for redistricting? Well, guess what? I've already done both of those topics. And so I'll have a link at the end of this video so you can check those links out. And we're going to answer some questions, some of the frequently asked questions that you guys have. So we're going to do all that in this video. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please like the video. And if you're watching this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. Okay, so here is the model here that we're using, this AI model. Now, I've gone over this already. I had an initial video that I put out. That will be linked at the end of this video so you can check that out. So I'm not going to go over everything in detail. I just want to show you the changes that have been made and how the calculation now is different as a result of these changes. And so even if you go back 2 days, the video that I posted 2 days ago, you'll be able to see this information and you'll be able to see that it's pretty much the same. There's only one area that we changed, and then you can see the numbers back then and the numbers, how they changed now. Okay, so let's go ahead. And what I want to do just briefly, just in case this is the first time that you've watched any of my videos, with this AI model, I asked AI a series of questions. And so I asked AI, can you predict the 2026 midterm election? Guess what it said? It said, no, we can't predict the midterm elections, but I can tell you that historically, these are the areas that you should focus on. And we can create a formula, and in that formula, it will give us a good idea of how many seats that Democrats can pick up or Republicans can pick up in the House as well as in the Senate. And so that is what I did. So I created one for the House, created a separate one for the Senate, and I also created a formula for the redistricting because that's something that's being talked a lot about right now. Okay, let's go ahead, and I want to show you the different categories. So these are the categories that AI picked. So AI said these are categories you should be focused on for the midterm elections. So generic ballot, that's 1. Presidential job approval, that's 2. The economy, so micro index, and we'll go over it. Special elections, and then seats at risk. And then you get the final outcome here, okay, the final forecast. All right, so as I stated, I did this already just a couple of days ago, but there's one revision, so I wanted to show you that. So I will just briefly go over these numbers. So right now, generic ballot is showing Democrats plus 2.6. Presidential job approval is at 43%. When it comes to the economy, this is where the change is. GDP right now is at 3.8%. That did not change, but CPI did change. CPI went from 2.9% to 3%. Okay, and I told you that we would probably see it go up. I told you it would probably increase, and it did increase. Unemployment stays the same at 4.3%. Looking at special elections, that stays the same at plus 3. And if you guys are wondering, where's all this information coming from? Check out the video I posted a couple of days ago, or you can check out the original video that I posted because I talked in more detail about all of these categories and how AI created a formula and how they calculate the formula, which the calculations are here too. So if you want to pause, you can see, okay, this is how they calculated, but where am I getting this information from when it comes to special elections and all of that? Check out the previous videos that I posted. Okay, seats at risk is -3, so that's in favor of Republicans. It's -3 because Democrats have more seats at risk than Republicans currently. Okay, so looking at the final forecast here, we see, and what we're looking for here is this number right here. Okay, so this is showing us, with all the calculations that we went over, this is showing us 1.99. Okay, now if we come over here, we know that for every 1 point, that's equals 10 seats. And so now we're at 1.99. Just a couple of days ago, it was a little bit less than that. I think it was 1.89 or something like that. And so right now, AI is saying that Democrats have an advantage of 20 seats. So it looks like they'll be able to win 20 seats. If the election was held today, that's very important because we still have a year before the midterm. So if the elections were held today, this is what we're looking at. Okay, now we started off, I think it was I think the first video that I put out was Democrats plus 11. And then the next video I put out was Democrats plus 19. And now we're looking at Democrats plus 20. And so right now the curve is going up. So it's going up in favor of the Democrats. Now, I'm sure it's going to go up and down. It's not just going to continue to rise. At least I don't anticipate seeing that. But right now, Democrats are favored by 20 seats. This is very important because we are talking about redistricting and all of that right now. And all these different states want to get in there and try to solidify a seat for the Republicans or for the Democrats. And so we don't know exactly how that's all going to play out. But it might not matter if Democrats have an overwhelming victory. So if we're looking at 20 seats, if we're looking at 30 or 40 seats, the redistricting is not going, they're not going to be able to, or Republicans right now. And the reason I say Republicans is because President Trump is out there promoting this to the different states, Republican states or Republican controlled states, saying, look, you guys need to do the redistricting so we can earn more seats. So that's not going to matter if Democrats have a good showing. That's not going to matter if Democrats have that advantage. And right now, plus 20, that's a pretty good advantage. But of course, all of this doesn't mean anything if you don't vote. And so if you're looking at this AI model and you're saying, wow, this looks good, Democrats could gain 20 seats, you might be on the other side saying this doesn't look good, Democrats will be able to gain 20 seats. But if you don't vote, it doesn't matter. Okay, let's go over. I want to take a look at a few questions here that you guys have had. And as I stated, there are a few people that have asked this question here. Belinda's asking here, what about the Senate? I have a video on the Senate, so make sure you check that out. I will do another. So I'll do week 2 of the Senate in a few days, and we'll see if there are any changes there. But what I've done with that is I use the same thing, an AI model. It's actually not the same exact model. It's a different model. And with that model, I did ask AI a series of questions. And what AI did is they created a formula, and they gave me a percentage. And so they're saying, okay, Democrats have a 5.6% chance of taking back control of the Senate. Republicans have a 90, I think it was like 95% or 94% chance of taking back the Senate. And so right now, Republicans do have the advantage in the Senate. Democrats have the advantage in the House, but Republicans have the advantage in the Senate. And it's mainly because Democrats have more seats at risk in the Senate. So it'll be a little bit harder for them. They're going to have to flip Republican seats, Republican incumbent seats. And so that's going to be very hard for them to do. But I do have that Senate video, so make sure you check that one out. Okay, let's take a look here. And this is coming from Juan. Juan, thank you for the comment here. It says, the U.S. Supreme Court seems inclined to limit race-based electoral districts under the Voting Rights Act. The Supreme Court might net 19 seats in Congress for the Republicans if the GOP gains 19 seats as a result of the court ruling. How will this affect the midterm elections? Very, very good question. And we don't know what's going to happen with the Supreme Court and how they're going to come down and rule. But if they were to rule in favor of Republicans in this situation, I think this originated out of Louisiana, then you're going to have more states that are controlled by Republicans trying to redistrict. And so basically what they're going to do is they're going to try to draw new lines as fast as they can so they can get it done before the 2026 midterms. Now, some of these states won't be able to do it. We just heard Virginia. Virginia is talking about, for Democrats, talking about being able to draw new lines and allow Democrats to get 2 to 3 more seats. The only problem with this is Virginia is up against a tight deadline. So they have to do this very, very fast. And so they can do it, but they might not have the time to do it before the 2026 midterms. Same with these other states. If we're waiting on the Supreme Court to rule, they might not have time in order to make these changes for 2026. For 2028, they'll have time, but for 2026, they might not have the time. And so we'll have to see how that all plays out. 19 seats, yes, that's a lot of seats that Republicans, and these aren't guarantees, okay? So when we're talking about redistricting, one thing I want to make sure that everybody understands is This is, let's say Republicans are saying we're going to draw these new lines, but by drawing new lines, you are diluting some of the districts that you already have. Okay, so you let's say you have a district that has 20, it's a 20-point favor for Republicans, and then you want to grab 2 more seats, and so now you start diluting that district by taking some of those Republican voters and putting them in some of these other districts that a Democrat could win, just so you have a chance to win those seats as well. But you're diluting the seat that has the 20 plus point advantage. And so that is what we're going to see. And so these aren't guarantees. This is just like Texas. Texas said, okay, we're going to gain 5 seats. It looks like they'll be able to gain 3, maybe 4, but 5, no, they're not going to be able to gain 5 because they have some districts where they've weakened the district, a Republican district, let's say, they've weakened that district by taking some of those Republican voters and putting them in another district. And so you can only take so much before it's going to backfire on you. It's not going to work. So we can't say, okay, it's going to be 19 seats that Republicans will be able to gain, because we don't know for a fact exactly how many seats they'll be able to gain as a result of this. And we also need to look at the state of things in a year from now. So we don't know how things are going to be. If the economy is really bad, you're going to have some of these districts that usually would vote for Republicans. They might say, look, I'm voting for a Democrat this time because things are really bad. Things aren't going the way that I was promised. And so, I mean, you have farmers right now that are outraged at President Trump. You just saw cattle farmers that are really upset because President Trump came out and said that he's considering buying beef from Argentina. And so these different things are going to impact people, and that could push them to vote for a Democrat. And then another thing too, we're looking at a lot of stuff going on right now all over the U.S., right? I mean, there's so much stuff going on. Every day it's like 10 or 15 new things that we find out that are, crazy, right? Some people might look at that. Let's say you're a person, you're an independent, you're in the middle. Let's say you voted for Trump in 2024. You might look at that and say, we need to have some kind of, back and forth. We can't just have President Trump out there just doing everything that he wants to do. And so you might have some people come in and say that, mainly independents, that say, you know what? We need a check on the president at this point. There's just too much stuff going on right now, too much to even keep track of. And so we could see some backlash like that. But overall, when it comes to the Supreme Court, we're just going to have to wait. When the Supreme Court rules, they'll come out, they'll let us know, and then we'll have to see how these states scramble to try to see if they can add some seats. And then understand this too. You have a lot of states, or some states, I won't say a lot. You have some states that are saying, okay, yeah, we can gain 1 seat for the Republicans, or, so you might have five different states, but they're all only gaining 1 seat or giving the opportunity to gain 1 seat for Republicans. So if you have a big state like California or New York or some of these other big states, if they do their redistricting, obviously it's going to have more of an impact than even 3 or 4 different states that are smaller, where you'll only be able to gain 1 or 2 seats at a time. Okay, Neil, thank you for the comment here. It says, it will be interesting to see whether AI can make better predictions than traditional polls. And this is where the experiment gets really interesting, because how is AI going to be able to compete with these different pollsters? These pollsters have been doing this for years and years. Will AI be able to pull, because AI is pulling polls or pulling a lot of different information. Will they be able to pull the correct information in order to give a more accurate prediction in the 2026 midterms? And so that's what I'm interested to see. This experiment, will it work? We don't know, but we'll find out. And we have some time now to really build up. So every week I can put this out so we can build up and we can see the changes, how this is swinging in the Republicans' favor, the Democrats' favor. We can see that. So that's something that's good as well. Okay, next comment is coming from Newton. Newton, thank you for the comment. It says, your formula looks pretty good, but may need to consider factoring in the gerrymandering element, especially when the Supreme Court makes this ruling regarding voting rights. And so there are a lot of people concerned about the Voting Rights Act. There are a lot of people concerned about gerrymandering and all this that's going on. And I do have an AI model that's specifically for redistricting. I wanted to split them up, so I didn't want to have them all together. So I wanted to have one for the House, one for the Senate, and one for just redistricting. And we can pull those numbers. And when we pull those numbers, then we can compare that to let's say the House. We can compare that to the House. We have to use the House because the Senate is not going to be impacted by gerrymandering. But in the House, we can pull that information and say, okay, the House is showing 20 plus seats for the Democrats, and then gerrymandering is showing 5 seats for the Republicans. Put that together, and now we have a better idea of where that's going. So I wanted to have them separate, because if I have them together, let's say the House and the gerrymandering together, it just gets too muddy. It's too much. And we'll see real crazy swings and things like that. And we don't need to do that if we can just have a separate video. So you can check out the redistricting video. I'll have that linked at the end of this video as well. So those are all the questions we're going to answer today. I'll go into some more in the future. So you guys have questions, let me know in the comments below. And let me say this. One of the hardest things to do when you're putting out this content, because I'm just sitting in front of a camera talking, I don't really know how you guys feel unless you let me know. So when you comment on a video, you send me an email, I know what's going on, how you feel about things, and that motivates me to put out different content that might answer some of the questions, just like the Senate question. I did one on the House, and someone said, well, why don't you put out one for the Senate? Yeah, let's put out one for the Senate. And then I had people ask me about, what about gerrymandering? How is the AI model going to handle that? And so what do? I put out a video on gerrymandering. So I learned from you guys. So please, comment down below, send me an email, ask me questions, give me different ideas, make corrections. If you see something and you say, I did have one person, and I'll talk about this briefly, I had one person talking about Real Clear Politics. I used Real Clear Politics for the generic ballot. They were saying, why are you using Real Clear Politics? They lean right. Why don't you use a different website that does polling averages? And realistically, I want to have some websites that lean right, some websites that lean left, so we get kind of an average when we're pulling in all this information. And what I will do, since I started with Real Clear Politics, I want to stick with Real Clear Politics. But what I will do in the future is I will take some of these different websites and I will let you know, okay, this is what the AI model is showing us for Real Clear Politics, and this is what AI is showing us when it comes to a different website, another website that does the generic ballot. So that's what I'll do. And we can compare the two and kind of see, okay, is it a drastic difference? Are we talking about a 5-seat swing? Are we talking about a 1-seat swing? So we'll have a better idea that way, but we'll do that in the future. But right now I'll stick with Real Clear Politics because I want it to be consistent. So I don't want to, if I jump to another, let's say another website, and they're showing a generic ballot of, 2 points higher than the one that I was using, well, that's going to change the numbers, and I can't go back. I can't go from one website back to Real Clear Politics to another website back. So I won't be able to do that. But I can compare the two in the future and let you know ahead of time. This is the AI model that we started with, and if you add in some of these different websites, this is what comes up. So I just wanted to mention that because I did have some people ask me that. But I won't know this and let you guys let me know in the comments below. So like the video if you like it, share it with your family and friends, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.